Welcome to Street Perspectives. I'm your host, Robert Jones, aka Sweet Jones, Smooth, the Shadow, and the Master Pimp, author of the book, The Pimp's Rap, the book that Paramount Pictures was very much interested into making a movie, and also Church Pimps, the book they don't want you to read. Now it's movie time. No good deed is an American experience that goes beyond the news headlines of battered women. America is a tough place to live for any woman. You either learn fast or you lose everything. I don't care what city you live in. Every day, if you turn on the news, you will witness a woman being raped, stalked, or kept captive. Book deals and movie deals have skyrocketed to fame and fortune because of this subject matter. There are certain countries, believe it or not, where it is legal for a husband to kill his wife. Right here in the good old USA, tortured and murdered women bodies float through the streets of America like dead rats. My lawyer revealed to me that domestic violence has always existed. And if it had not been for the O.J. Simpson trial, a black man getting off scot-free for killing a white woman, domestic violence would still be prevalent. I strongly believe that most men don't understand just how stressful it must be to be a woman. Being a woman is like being between a rock and a hard place. Yeah, women, they love to be admired, but they also know that there is some sick, sadistic fool that might strangle, rape, or even kill you simply because of your body. This movie, No Good Deeds, deals with the psychological fear and the stress of being a woman. This flick is like riding a roller coaster filled with drama, action, and suspense.
Mr. Evans fits the criteria of a malignant narcissist. Acts of rage frequently involving the attentions of a woman.
You look so beautiful when you sleep. When I was in prison, I thought a lot about you.
Colin, I tried to wait.
No, you didn't.
There's violence in this man.
Your parole is denied.
It isn't a great movie. I will repeat that. It isn't a great movie. But the emotional aspect of the drama and suspense makes it worth watching. Idris Elba is one of the hottest brothers around. He made the movie and he alone. Without him, there would be no movie. His talent and experience captures a performance that showcased a distinctive style and raw energy that was pure dynamite. This brother played a psychopath killer. His character will keep you on edge. A charming, escaped convict who loves to dominate women. One night, he invades and terrorizes Tara's home and family. Tara is portrayed by the thick and sexy Taraji P. Henson, a dedicated wife and mother of two. The house becomes a battleground for two gladiators, one male and one female, but the female goes the distance, fighting for survival. Danger has a strange rhythm in this house. The hard rains, dark clouds, and electrical storm, combined with the mysterious, dangerous psychopath killer, will make you ladies lock your motherfucking door. And now it's classic time. Classics never get old. That's why they're classics. I like to go back in time and blow your mind. Curtis Mayfield used to always say, "Do or die." Talking about the classic Superfly. The movie Superfly was considered box office poison. Superfly was the most misunderstood movie that was ever produced. It took a bad rap. It was blamed for everything. It was not a positive role model for our black youth. And it was supposed to cause young black men to sell drugs and get caught up in street life. Superfly was a very negative image. Let me set the record straight for you weak, lame ass, pussyfoot, nerdy motherfuckers. White supremacy, racism, poverty, illiteracy, a lack of opportunity, and discrimination is what causes black criminals. And as far as a positive role model, if you buy that, you buy fried ice cream and walk in bullshit, because that's what it is. It ain't nothing but a fantasy. There's no such thing as a positive role model. I believe in human beings, not positive role models, because we all are positive at the right time in our lives, and we all are negative in the wrong time in our lives. Show me somebody that has never done wrong, and I show you a fictitious character that somebody created and put in a story. Superfly, a lot of y'all don't know this, was based on the legendary Frank Matthews. There's only one player that stood out for me, and that was Frank Matthews. Frank Matthews was the man. Them niggas that everybody talking about and Hollywood making movies about, remember what I say. They controlled cities. Frank Matthews controlled half of the United States.
Frank Matthews, between 1970 and 1973, in my estimation, was the biggest drug dealer.
One day when we were coming up in the elevator, some of Frank Matthews' men were in the elevator with their fancy fur coats and the jewelry, attaché cases and whatever.
We seized $2.5 million cash.
Frank Matthews out of Brooklyn. Nicky owed him $300,000. He came to me and said, man, I don't even know you, period, but they told me if I came to you, you could straighten it out. And I said, Nicky, what's up, man, with this guy, man? You owe him, he gonna give him $300,000 now? And Nicky said, I'm gonna give it to him, period, don't worry about it.
And Frank had an apartment that, one of these old-time apartments, when you walked into a closet, it was like a walk-in closet, one of these closets was filled with money over your head.
And one of the cities that he controlled was right here, Cincinnati. J.P. Cravens, who worked for Frank Matthews, was the kingpin of Cincinnati back in the day. They don't talk about Frank Matthews. In the movie Superfly, him and his girlfriend, they get away scot-free with $1 million. In real life, Frank Matthews left the country, him and his girlfriend, with $20 million and was never heard of. His getaway made him a legend. He became bigger than life. Jet Magazine, the New York Times, and newspapers all across the country were writing about this great player who beat the system. That's right, I said beat the system and got away. His life story made such a great impact on Gordon Parks Jr. that he went to his father, Gordon Parks Sr., the great photographer, and asked him for a loan because he wanted to make a movie about a black drug dealer. He knew he couldn't call it Frank Matthews, so guess what? He called it Superfly. Superfly shocked the world. Nobody had ever in the history of cinema made a movie about a black drug dealer. It was a unique concept. It ruffled feathers. It set standards. It broke records. It was a rebel. It became a smash hit. Ron O'Neal, who played Superfly, was on top of his game, and the movie put him on the map. Superfly made so much money at the box office that white Hollywood took notice and began to make black movies. Everybody wanted to interview Superfly. Ron O'Neal, who played Superfly, everybody wanted to interview him, including a player-hating nigger who was a black journalist. Ron O'Neal was so busy, he didn't have the time to make the interview. This player-hating nigger journalist, he got so upset because he couldn't interview Ron O'Neal that he and he alone created the concept, the words, black exploitation film. He was so jealous and player-hating against Ron O'Neal that he talked about it in the movies. He talked about the movie in the press. He said it was a negative movie and it was causing our black youth to sell drugs. So the next time that you hear the words black exploitation film, think about it. It came from a player hater. You'll never hear an Italian talking about we shouldn't look at The Godfather and we tired of being stereotyped, making us out of gangsters. You never hear a Japanese talking about we tired of just being put in kung fu movies. I'm telling you, that's fucked up. And the sad thing about it is that that terminology stuck. And right now, today, Whenever you see a black classic movie, they call it a black exploitation film. But you know what? It can only work with a bunch of ignorant ass people like niggas. The magic of Superfly was that it captured an element of black ghetto life like no other film. It had that player's flavor when it first came on. Curtis Mayfield's soundtrack was popping and he was floating through ghetto streets like a black prince. Those Superfly headlights and that funky grill, every nigga that's ever had a pimped out ride know what I'm talking about. It was the way he was rolling, that feeling. There's something about that feeling. I can't find the words to describe it. When you got that motherfucker shining and it's looking good and you're flossing, I'm telling you, that first scene captivated all the players. But as fly as the car was, it wasn't the first choice for the movie. Actually, it was Bugs Norman's Fleetwood that they wanted to use. Bugs Norman was a big-time drug dealer who controlled Dayton. He was connected with the funeral homes up there, and they was transporting drugs throughout the casket. Bugs had the baddest ride I ever seen in my life. It was a triple white Fleetwood. The front was extended. The top was chopped. He had a skeleton bone on the back, 2 tires on the side, and he was floating through them ghetto streets with them white gangster tires. That motherfucker was off the chain. But Bugs was so hot, he didn't want them to use the car and put it in a movie because it would bring a lot of attention to him. When you look at the movie Superfly, there's a dark-skinned brother in the movie wearing an off-white suit with a little red hat. He was a player and a pimp. It was his car they used to make Superfly. I'm telling you, man, there was so much that came out of this movie that people just don't know. Superfly's main connection in the movie Scatter was portrayed by Julius Harris. Scatter was based upon a real hustler who was well respected and known in Cleveland. Superfly's girlfriend, Georgia, she was one fine sister. She made me weak at the knees. Georgia was portrayed by Sheila Fraser. I've seen a lot of erotic movies, but I love that erotic scene in that bathtub. That was off the chain. Fat Freddie was portrayed by Charles McGregor. The soundtrack, Freddie's Dead, it went on to become an urban classic. It's been done by Master P and several other rappers. But guess what? It originally came from Superfly. Eddie, who was portrayed by Carl Lee, was the best actor in the movie. Ron O'Neal, who played Priest, who was Superfly, he brought color and excitement to the movie. But them conservative niggas, they fucked up everybody's career that was associated with this movie. Even Curtis Mayfield, who created the soundtrack, never got the respect that he was due. Before there was Tupac Shakur, there was Curtis Mayfield. And now, I like to drop a bomb on you nerdy, weak-ass motherfuckers. Remember what I'm about ready to tell you. If there was no Superfly, there would be no hip-hop. No Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Samuel L. Jackson, Halle Berry, because there would be no market for black artists. Superfly set the stage and opened up the door, but they never ever got the credit for it. Well, you know, like they say in the streets, you know how it goes when it comes to us real niggas. Gone, but not forgotten. Peace. Mighty.
For the man, Superfly, here I stand, secret stash, heavy bread, baddest bitches in the bed. I'm your pusher man. I'm your pusher man. I'm your pusher man. Solid life of crime. A man of odd circumstance. Ghetto demands, feed me money for style, and I'll let the trip